Good morning, and today we are going hard at it. I cannot believe some of the things that I recently heard, but they're true, and I'm going to run through them with you. First of all, didn't want to get involved in this Israel, Hamas, Palestine conflict. I don't know a huge amount about it. I've had to learn a bit more recently academically to make these videos, but I do know some things that most people don't. And there's a little secret in one of my statistics. It is wrong, but see, to prove me wrong, you'll have to prove the statistic. And the statistic is lower, so the real statistic is higher. So, of the population of Britain in a widespread poll, 42% sympathise with Hamas. That's 42% of my country's Muslims sympathise with Hamas. Now, there are 3.9 million, or 6.5% of our country are Muslim, which means that over 1.5 million Muslim people in England believe or have sympathy for Hamas, a terrorist group who committed some grievous acts. 1 in 4 is willing to accept they committed murder on October the 7th. 3 out of 4 don't accept that murder on the Israelis was committed on October the 7th. Unfortunately, 62% of people worldwide don't believe that murder was caused by Hamas on Israeli civilians on October the 7th, no matter what evidence they're shown. So I find that to be a devastating thing about, it's a damnation of our culture and how far we've let it slide. But it is awful. And I do really want to try and get some facts across here. Also, just briefly, Queers for Palestine. The silliest name for a group, from a group of people who have made a name for themselves for making silly names of groups. It's the worst one. Queers for Palestine. You realise that the people in Gaza are Muslim, and that any type of sexual deviancy from heterosexual is considered a mortal sin, and you would be murdered immediately upon arriving on Gazan land. So I don't think you can be for Palestine, because you wouldn't manage to live there. They wouldn't take you in, they'd kill you. That's the trait of any seriously religious Muslim. They have problems with any type of sexual deviance. Absolutely, and it's a mortal sin and deserves to be punished. You might be punished not for killing someone like that. So, here's some facts you need to know. 1, yes, a load of people were murdered on October the 7th. I hope I'm speaking to some people who know that. Doesn't mean a lot of Gazans haven't been killed. No one's saying that. But on October the 7th, I've seen the footage. I've seen someone get murdered on that day. So don't tell me it didn't happen. That's deluding yourself. It's deluding. It's twisting your mind. But here's something you don't know. Okay? Israel was made a state in 1948. Palestine was made a state in 1988. So Israel are not occupying Palestinian land. It's the other way around, actually. But not in law, because Israel gave that land to Palestine. Now, under pressure, actually. But prior to that, they were Palestine in Arabic means Philistine, so Philistines. And prior to 1988, they were a group of Muslim settlers from Egypt, Tunisia, Jordan, and several other countries around the area, because the word for Palestinian dates back to the Greek Empire and doesn't cut cross through the Muhammad line of Muslim thinking. Hence, they were discarded and outcast from Muslim worlds, and they settled as nomad tribes in the area we now call Gaza and the North Bank, which Israel offered and gave back in 2005. Now, these are the things you don't know. These are the things that people are talking anyway about genocide. Yes, they meet 3 parts of that criteria by the UN standard. That's not genocide. You have to meet all 5. That's like saying I can spell the word beautiful, but I don't know all the letters. Useful as tits on a fish. They hit 3 things. And that's bad. I am not minimising Gazan deaths. I think that's horrible. But these are statistics there that you can Google them yourself. You can find them out. They're easy to find out. Most of the Gazans in Gaza want Hamas back in power. I guess we've discussed in England, but most of them do not see October the 7th as an act of terrorism. But Israel's is. When in fact the definition of terrorism is the opposite way around, and the definition of genocide, opposite way around. Hamas have a website that states their intentions. You might as well throw your knife along the floor and towards someone's foot and say, in a minute I'm going to pick that up and stab you with it. It's absurd. So, Philistine, remember that. Philistines. That's what the Arabic nations think of Palestine, which is why they were in with the UN and Israel. They created a state begrudgingly giving Palestine an official state, way after Israel had theirs. And also the word apartheid means segregated. Israel is not segregated, so it's not an apartheid state. Stop saying silly things you don't understand. If it becomes an apartheid state, I'll let you know. But that segregation means let's say they had a Muslim community. That Muslim community would have to live, work, and never speak to a Jew, even in Israel, which is not the way. They actually embrace people of all faiths and cultures. So, we have a problem on our hands here. I think we have a great problem of national pride, a great problem of national values, and we now have a problem of people who sympathise with terrorists living everywhere around us. I'm going to have to get more into this because this is really, I started this journey years ago, 6 years ago, as a left-leaning central liberalist, and every time I've been pushed a step towards the right because of the nonsense that comes out of the left. Queers for Palestine. Give me a break. The Middle East don't want Palestinians at all. Middle East certainly don't want any Jews. So let's just call it what it is. It's hate against Jewish people in the Western world. Let's leave it there, shall we? Have a think about all this before you make your next comment on the conflict. And if you did like it and found it informative, please do subscribe and share. It does help. If you didn't, you've already gone, and your opinion, if you left early, you don't have an opinion on Palestine and Israel. So anyway, there's a fact in there that I've slightly changed, only slightly. So if anyone can come back to me and tell me what it is, then I'll let them know in the comment section if they're right. So if you comment back, you'll know if you're right. I'll leave it there. You have a good evening, and I'll speak to you soon. Be good.